We're going. Very good.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 1 o'clock. Definitely have a quorum present. Thank you all for attending, and thank you, Linda, for meeting with us virtually as well. Are there any announcements? Okay, and seeing no members of the public, no public comment. And we'll move right to the approval of the minutes from November 15th. Oh no, excuse me, that's the previous. It's the minutes from January 17th. Okay, no, that's all right. It's okay. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions? Okay, could I have a motion to approve the minutes? Thank you, Carol. Is there a second? Janet, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Okay, and now we'll move on. Bob, if we could have the treasurer's report and warrants.
We started off the month of January with $2,214,000. We received $193,000, of which $56,000 of that was the Oates grant, which either Colleen or Jack can explain what the Oates grant is for. And we spent $241,000, leaving us a balance of $2,165,938. And the only other thing we haven't had in a long time is some decent interest. We received $2,064.99 in interest.
Is that per month?
No, that was for, that one was a 90-day.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
But the one that we renewed it with, I mean, it was a 2.6, I believe, and it ended up the renewal at 4.3.
Whoa.
So we're going to get some decent interest this year by the looks.
yes, there is an upside to inflation.
There is. And also in your packet are the warrants, which are there for you to peruse and ask any questions if you have any. And then they also need to be filed.
Okay, so as with the last meeting, we remain in good financial condition.
Yep.
Okay, are there any questions? Any additions to the treasurer's report? Okay, then I don't believe we need a motion. These will be on file, correct?
There's one other thing that we did, not in this report, but in the next report, we did get our final 10% of the LLSA and LL.
Yes.
Whatever the other.
LSSA and LLSA.
Okay.
Right.
We did get that.
Thank you, Bob.
So we're paid in full from the state.
Okay, Jill, director's report.
Okay. So the governor's executive budget was released on February 1st. It includes $96.1 million in library aid, and that is $3.5 million reduction from last year's enacted budget. And unfortunately, construction aid was reduced to $14 million, a reduction of $20 million. And this year, the library ask is going to be $147.1 million and $69.4 million in construction aid. So this is what we're going to ask them to boost us back up to on Advocacy Day. Much of SALS funding comes from state aid. So we're asking all trustees and member library staff once again to let their legislators know how much SALS does to support their daily work through our delivery, Polaris, IT support, consulting, grants, and other programs. So please be active in advocating for our funding to be restored.
Jill, can I just add to that?
Yes.
Unless I'm interrupted, I plan to sit in on all of the sessions, the Zoom sessions for covering our region. And I would encourage you, if you can, your 2 or 3 members of the Senate and the Assembly that are in your area, if you would sit in on those, if you can. You don't have to say anything, but it's very interesting to hear. I'm sure that Erica and Jack and Sarah will be commenting, and it's just, we usually have very good responses from our area legislators, but it's still interesting to take part.
So we do have all those Advocacy Day meetings scheduled, and
right.
we can share it again if need be, the schedule of virtual meetings.
Yeah, I think that Pamela already shared all of the links with us. Yeah.
Great.
Are you asking for more on the construction end of the What are we asking for? On
Yes, we're asking for 69.4 million in construction aid. Okay. The Lake Pleasant Public Library has decided to withdraw from the federal depository program due to those increased JA fees because of all the online items that are in the catalog. They've agreed that they will pay the JA fees as calculated for the 2023 and 2024 budgeted years, and without any assistance from SALS. So they appreciated that, but they would like to just pay it themselves.
And if you'll note on your corrected agenda, that item has been dropped from unfinished business because it turned out that we had a lengthy discussion at the last thing, but we then failed to take a vote. So it was going to come up again today. It's my fault. I will own up to it. But so at present, there's no unfinished business on the agenda. Go ahead, Jill. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you.
That's all right. Some good news is that SALS will be moving forward with the overdrive resource lending agreements with Mid-Hudson, Upper Hudson, and Mohawk Valley Library Systems. This will allow patrons from each of those systems to borrow select available ebooks and e-audiobooks from any of the 4 systems to really help expand this vital service to our communities.
Does that mean that we need to add them to our list of libraries, or is it going to be consolidated into the SALS?
I believe the way it shows up in the Libby app or the Overdrive app is it'll show up as a library that you're available to borrow from. Perhaps that's something we can look at once we see what it looks like. Maybe we can do a little show and tell on that, but I think it's going to show up automatically somewhere in the app for patrons. Okay, so moving on to the annual meeting. The SALS annual meeting is going to be May 15th at the Marriott Excelsior Springs here in Saratoga. It's going to be a hybrid meeting, so people can attend virtually or in person. We're sending out save the date postcards to our elected officials, guests, and member libraries trustees. Program of the year and trustee of the year requests for nominations have been sent to the library, so we'll be doing those awards this year again. We are hoping to have some entertainment during our cocktail hour. A jazz pianist, Carol Daggs. And if anyone wants to know more about her, ask Pamela after the meeting. She has nothing but wonderful things to say about Carol. So we're fingers crossed we're going to get her. Pamela's also been working on table favors, these custom bookmarks. So it'll have this is a Pioneer Library System example one that we got, but it'll have the Southern Adirondack Library System. And you can personalize it with your own information on the inside of the card. So if everyone wants to take a look at that. Like I said, Pamela's been working on getting that figured out for us. So if everyone agrees that those are nice, we can just nod our heads, and that's all we need to do on. All right, so in past years, SALS has provided 1 free meal for a trustee from each library. So this is trustee, not library staff. So later on in the agenda, we're going to need a vote as to whether we would want to do that again this year. We also need to, as an action item, vote on how much to charge for the meal, the dinner tickets, and how much SALS is will, and consequently how much SALS then subsidizes. Typically, we subsidize about half of the cost per meal. So it's been suggested that we charge $30 per ticket this year. In the past, charged $25, but with rising costs of everything, as we are all well aware, this might be the year to raise it a little bit and charge $30. And SALS would then be paying approximately $36 per ticket as the subsidized amount. And that includes dinner and the cocktail hour snacks. And last but not least, for in terms of things we'll need to vote on later in the agenda, the timeline for the meeting. Currently, we've got 5 to 6 p.m. for cocktail hour, 6 to 7 p.m. for dinner, and 7 to 9 for the business meeting. Any questions about any of the annual dinner? Well, that's all I had to report on. And if there aren't any questions, I will turn it over to Jack, who's going to give us a little presentation on boardables.
Sure. So at our last meeting, it was brought up that, actually maybe 2 meetings ago, it was brought up that we should take a look at, you know, a board meeting app. And there was, I guess, a couple that were suggested, but I think that there was a recommendation that we should look at Boardable. So let me just do a little show and tell here. So before we look at Boardable, I do want to just give you a quick tour of our website where currently these materials reside. So if you come to the SALS homepage, Board of Trustees, minutes and schedule, it brings up all of our upcoming board meetings and the documents that will be at those meetings that you'll need for those meetings. So, you know, if you're at February, you can click the agenda and it pops up that meeting. You know, if you want the director's report, you can do it from there. You know, same with the other reports. So they are right at your fingertips virtually as a PDF if you want to go that route. One library in particular is using Boardable. So this is what it would look like on your end. So, you know, let's take a look at the January meeting. So you get this sort of link with the link to the virtual meeting. You have the agenda, minutes, and attendance. The neat part about the agenda is, let's see if there's an example here. So, you know, when say item 10, approval of Board of Trustees minutes, that document is right in that agenda item. So it's kind of nice to see, you know, if you're at this part of the agenda, you know, you can click right into that specific document. So that's kind of nice. On the back end, there's this sort of places where we would put everybody into groups. So if you have a committee, you would have a committee group. Through this, you're able to have discussions. So we don't really have any up there at the moment, but you know, you can you know, discuss things before the meeting if you wanted to. You can do polls. It's actually pretty simple. It seems very intuitive. But I think if we wanted to get this, we might have a little webinar or a show and tell on how to specifically use it and how we might want to use it. There's really not much more to it. It's pretty simple, but the one thing is it is kind of expensive. So for, I spoke to a rep there and she recommended for our size institution, the essentials. The tricky part is that for each user, you have to purchase an account. So we estimated that we would probably have 20 users, maybe a little bit more, at $18 for that. It's, oops, that's about $360 a month, whoops. So it is kind of expensive and it is a monthly fee. We would get a discount though. I just don't know what that discount would be until I give them the number of users we would request. So if this is something you're interested in, you can think about it and let me know. I'm not sure, Margaret, if you have anything to add since you've used it at Crandall. So I'm not sure if you have any recommendation or if you want to share your thoughts at all.
Well, I didn't really know it was that expensive. And this was something that was done with the library. It didn't require a board vote. It's pretty smooth working. You know, it's pretty intuitive. You can, like for instance, the groups that we have are the committees, so that you can communicate with your committee through Boardable. Everything is obviously reported. But other than that, the cost I thought was really steep.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, me too.
But if you wanted me to, I could find out what it actually would cost, what our discount would be. We would get an education discount.
Is the free one basically useless?
Yeah,
okay.
The free ones, yeah, because you can only have 3 groups.
That's why it's free.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack?
Yes.
Is this something that we could get through? Oh, never mind, we're at 501c. I was back to the tech soup, but we can't do tech soup.
No, I don't think so.
501c1, yeah, 501c.
So Jack, it's Linda here. I don't understand the difference of how this is so much better than what we already have on the SALS website when I can click on our previous minutes and read them. I don't really understand what this does for us other than that.
It would be a sort of platform change. I think we would move away. I think we would still do everything that we're currently doing because we have to do that for New York State minimum standards, posting those. But this would be an avenue of, I think, like as Margaret says, it facilitates conversation in groups. I think that's the big advantage of it. I think
you can also send reminders for meetings, reminders for this. You can also do doodle polls for who can attend this particular meeting. So, you know, there is some benefit, obviously, to it.
Yeah, it's sort of all in one ecosystem, whereas we sort of have ours spread out a little bit. But also, if there's things you like about this, that we could incorporate them. So say like, you know, their sort of agenda with the documents embedded in the agenda, I think we could do something like that as well if you wanted it. And then that would be, then you could go right to the SALS website, click on the agenda and have all the documents too.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I think
does everybody know that aside from me sending the reports in an email that they are posted on the website?
No, I didn't. So I don't know. Maybe
yes, so that's why I'm a bit confused about what this app really does that's so much different than what we've already got.
I think it's the communication factor.
Well, and it's having closed groups that can communicate and maintain their documents together,
right?
As opposed to just sending using emails back and forth.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so I'm thinking of our, you know, our public library, our local library. When we have a committee email, we just send it out to everybody on the committee. That's by email, and then that's like a trend where everybody replies to it, and you know, there's conversation on the email back and forth. So the main difference would be a site where you go to when that happens, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's rather than going to your public email and communicating back and forth, you're doing it through this platform. I
see. All right, thank you.
And remember, your public email is foilable. So any of us that communicate back and forth, if we had a person like we've had in the past that we were discussing earlier who likes to, I don't want to say cause trouble, but likes to really stir things up, disrupt. Thank you. That would hopefully preclude that.
So, all right, so can you explain that again to me? So on the email that we're using, we have the group that, let's say, is the program committee, and I'm emailing to everybody in the program committee, and we're talking about whatever back and forth. So the danger is that somebody on the program committee might say, oh, I want to share this with my cousin Susie, and she could just send it forward, and on this platform you cannot.
No, I'm saying that email, if someone could file a freedom of information, be it any citizen, it could be a reporter, it could be anyone. And who knows, if you're discussing something sensitive, like, I don't know, construction grants or something, you know, you might not want that public at that point. Now, I can't say for sure this isn't, because I just don't know. but I do know public email, our emails are all foilable.
Okay, thank you. I did not realize that.
Yeah, so if you're, you know,
Our texts.
yeah, so if you're talking to like a family member through your email and someone foiled your public email, they would get those conversations as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's all I have on that. So if you just want to think about it, we can bring it up next meeting and see what people think. We can also sort of add that piece to our new agenda. So if that's something you would like.
Yeah, and Jack, get the full cost of it too.
Yeah, I will.
We'll calculate that, so with the discount.
Jack, as far as those foilable emails, I know in Saratoga, they finally, after years of our worrying about it, set up another email system just for the board. Is that another possibility that wouldn't be $360 a month, that we could have a separate SALS email as a board member? Or
a lot of us do already. I have one. I think anyone can just ask for one. I saw one of actually I learned it in one of the handbook club meetings. We're talking about like security, and they said every board member should have a library or SALS or a library their own email. So I do, just because I heard that thing and I asked, and you guys set it up for me like that.
Yeah, I think we provide any of you with the SALS email address, but I don't believe we provide all trustees at member libraries with SALS email addresses. I think there's
they have their own, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But we could get them and it would be
pretty sure. I can't remember, but let me find out and then I'll send everyone a message and then find out for sure.
Okay. Thank you, Jack.
Okay, any other questions for Jack? Thank you.
If anybody had any OATS questions, I'd be glad to answer those. And I can show you what our sort of OATS plan is, since I've been sharing my screen here, if you want a 30 seconds OATS overview. So what we're purchasing, let's see. So we've already purchased 48 Chromebooks, 48 mouses, some delivery tubs for these, and some large print keyboards. And so those are going to circulate. Next on the agenda is to purchase an iPad kit and some projectors and an Apple TV. And so these will be kits that will circulate among the member libraries that are participating in the OATS project. And that just started up this month. We've had our second meeting this week. So,
Jack, I actually have a question.
Yep.
I didn't look at Sarah's director report until this morning, and Tim is out cruising in the Caribbean somewhere, so I couldn't ask him. I understood that Waterford was going to participate, but we're not on that list.
No, I don't think Tim, I think he went to the initial meeting, but I don't think we sent out another MOU and the official, do you want in on this? And I don't think he responded to that.
Okay, thank you.
There will be an opportunity. I think we're not sure if we're going to have funding for this going forward for the stipend, but we hope to continue this project afterwards. So there may be another chance to get on board.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jack. Okay. Anything else to report, Jill?
No, I have nothing else.
Okay, then let's move on to committee reports. Audit and finance, Janet.
Nothing.
Okay, building.
Nothing.
Okay.
Have any additional, I do actually have one question. The note said that there was only one application for the construction grants. Is that still the case?
That is still the case.
Thank you.
They have until April.
Okay, Jordan isn't present today, so nothing from bylaws. Margaret.
No report.
Okay. And Street County aid coordinators, anything to report?
No.
or anything from your, okay, and Chris? Okay. Carol, anything from library services?
No.
Okay. Back to Janet again, personnel?
Nothing.
Okay. And I don't think we have any, I know we don't have any trustee nominations currently, so nothing from that. And Barbara, anything further on the succession planning?
Well, first of all, I'm co-chairing this with my esteemed partner here, Janet. We had a meeting on the 2nd, and it included Margaret, Russ, Janet, Carol, and Sarah. And Russ and Sarah will continue to come to the meetings because they're a wealth of information that we were completely brain dead on. But we have some actions, steps that Sarah's helping us with. But we did decide that we wanted to have a timeline and make sure that we had a handoff of our work to a search committee by the end of for 2024, so they could do the search and get a budget amendment for 2025, and that we would write a policy for succession planning to share with Jim Cox by the end of 2023. Meanwhile, we would be reviewing a bunch of materials that that Sarah forwarded the resources to us. I think we're planning on sort of chatting once a month. Is that what we said? Yeah, prior to this meeting, so that we have an update to give you. Did I miss anything?
No, I think.
And thank you to Sarah for she put together the minutes.
Okay. Any questions for the committee or for Barbara?
And who is Jim Cox?
I don't know.
He's our lawyer.
Oh, okay. He's our lawyer.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Right.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Right. And we.
Dumb question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought you said a search, but I didn't think we were doing a search for anybody. I thought we were just putting this in place. Maybe it's a different kind of search.
Well, no, part of the process is that we will have the job description and all the background stuff available, and then we will. Sarah gave us references for 3 search committees, search consultants that would then give us a proposal back. And I guess the board would select who we like, and they would put together the whole process, including having a search committee that aligns with the consultant.
Obviously triggered by need.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is all preliminary work to get this in place when the need arises. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and as we said, there's no unfinished business. Anybody have any other unfinished business? Okay, let's move on to new business. The time schedule for the annual meeting. Could you just repeat that for us, Joe?
Yes, we have 5 to 6 p.m. for cocktail hour, 6 to 7 p.m. for dinner, and 7 to 9 for the business meeting.
And that includes the speaker during that 7 to 9?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve the schedule for the annual meeting? Okay, Sue, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Margaret. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. All right, next, Jill.
Oh, we want to approve SALS to underwrite 1 trustee attendance from each library to the annual meeting.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve that? Carol, is there a second? Barbara. Okay, is there any discussion, any questions? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. And finally, Jill, would you briefly describe the third proposal?
Yes, so we want to approve SALS underwriting half the cost of the food and beverage for the annual meeting. So as I said, we were proposing that we charge $30 per ticket, and SALS would underwrite the remainder of about $36 per ticket.
That seems, wow.
Okay, so that
$36 for dinner at the Marriott.
It's cocktail hour.
Cocktail.
Well,
66. 60. Only 6.
cocktail
Well,
hour
that's the
and
cost of the room.
one of the prices of inflation is a lot of places now are charging for the room too.
Right.
In the old days, you get the room for free because you were having the dinner, but they charge for the space as well.
So if I can,
Go
at the Excelsior Springs Conference Center that we have it at, they're not charging for the room if we meet $3,000, which is not going to be a problem. There's a cash bar, and the bartender is $100 if we don't meet $300 in sales. So that I don't suspect is going to be a problem either. Cash bar will be open for the full length of the meeting. And it includes a cheese plate at cocktail hour, a plated dinner, sit down dinner, dessert. I think that's everything. Oh, and beverages, coffee, iced tea, hot tea, and water, I believe, are included.
And did you say the total is $66 per person?
Yes, for the food and beverage.
Thank you.
And how does, I have one question. Is there a difference between, let's say, two members of the library wish to go? Does that mean that one member would pay 30 and the one that's supported by SALS pays nothing, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. And it's a parochial question, but are the SALS board members covered as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
The
you.
SALS board members, SALS staff, one trustee from each library, and then subsidizing the balance of each other library attendee after $30. So if it's $66 per person, it would be, the attendee would pay $30 and SALS would cover the other 36.
Right. And you feel that the budget sustains the potential attendance then?
I believe so.
Thank you. Any other questions or?
What kind of turnout do you get at this? I've never
Historically, before COVID in 2017, 2018, we were seeing 150 to 175 attendees.
That's a lot.
Yeah, some libraries, particularly if it's partially subsidized, some libraries will send 5 or 6 people, their trustees or their director or assistant director, that type of thing. So, in fact, we've always had a competition in the past. We had a little gift for the library that sends the most attendees.
Which Argyle will never win.
Yes, we'll be happy to see you and your director.
I will be there.
No, I know it's kind of unfair, but yeah. As with anything else, it's a good question. As with anything else, I would expect that this time through it's going to be a reduced attendance and then gradually build up over the years. This has happened with all the other organizations I've seen. It's kind of slow coming back. Some people are still gun shy. Some people just don't travel as much anymore, but we'll see. We'll see. It'd be nice if we could, really pep it up.
Wasn't there something where we had made a deposit and kept taking the deposit down the road?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they currently have $1,000 non-refundable deposit.
Okay.
It was refundable up until last year. So
Right.
that deposit was actually paid, I believe, in 2020.
Good old 2020.
Yeah, and if you're right.
So we lost that deposit.
Remember last
No,
year,
we haven't lost it. The event center has held that deposit for us since 2020, and they're letting us apply it this year, but this is the last year they would roll it over.
Oh,
I
okay.
see.
Very good.
I'm worried that this $30 increase may cut back on some of our library members attending. I understand the financial piece from SALS, but as per our library, if you're a trustee and you're going to attend, the library does not pay for that. You pay for that out of pocket. So I don't know about other libraries, how they handle it, but I imagine that that's the case in many of them. So I understand the financial piece, but I'm kind of wishing that we could hold it at $25 per ticket to encourage people to attend, especially as Russ said, with people still gun shy with COVID or not traveling. I don't know what the other board members feel about that, if they feel $30. I think it's reasonable, but I still think it's hard for people to say, well, I'm not going out to dinner with my spouse and it's not a birthday celebration. You know, it is something that I volunteer for, and now I've got to pay $30 to go to the annual meeting. So I'm not opposed to it, but that's just my thoughts on it.
Something else we could do, the bookmarkers are great. They're awesome. I love them, but that's $1,600 if we want to scrap the bookmarker giveaway and just keep the ticket price at $25. That's an option to consider.
I don't know. Everybody likes a giveaway.
Yeah, I agree.
What about, you said, I don't remember this in the past, SALS subsidizes our attendance, so we pay only the $30 and we don't pay period.
We don't pay period.
What if we, and this is up to everyone, donated ours back to our member library so someone else could go free, and I would pay the $36 or whatever.
Well, that would be up to each individual library.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing is that I can see in Long Lake that they would turn to the Friends to pay for it.
I can't speak to the other board members of Waterford, but I do know we wound up not having a Christmas party this year because of how expensive it would be for people to bring their spouses. So, we're not bringing spouses to this, but there was definitely a price sensitivity to attending a Christmas party.
To give everybody an idea, in 2019, the cost of the venue was $8,350, and I'm estimating the same attendance this year, it's $11,550. So it's an increase of $3,000.
And as I mentioned before, that's about standard for any organization going out to venue. So for weddings or any other kind of parties.
We're going to the grocery store.
And I agree with both Barbara and Chris. On the other hand, you'd be hard pressed, even without alcohol, you'd be hard pressed to eat dinner for $30, including dessert and some hors d'oeuvres anywhere these days, because all the restaurant prices have gone up as well. We won't even talk about it as
well, and that includes the gratuity too.
Pardon?
That includes the gratuity as well, which adds a big chunk. Yeah.
So, and one more thing to keep in mind is that it will be hybrid this year. So we are going to have trustee attendees on Zoom. So people that might not want to pay the $30 will still have an option to attend the meeting via Zoom.
That's a good point.
What do you
Well,
think?
I'd like to make a motion then that we charge our attendees $30 per ticket, with SALS picking up approximately $36.
Thank you, Linda. Is there a second for that? Barbara? Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you. Is there a director's council report?
I don't believe so.
We've seen none. Our next meeting will be March 21st, 1 p.m. here. And as I said, just one final thing, if you would fill out your your forms, and also, if you can, sit in on at least one or two of the sessions with your area representative. The schedule is all for, I believe it's all next week, so I'll be able to do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Then you have to register for those?
No, you only have to register if you want to do the advocacy workshop at the beginning. The others, you just go in on Zoom, I believe. Is that correct, Jack? They're open to anybody? All right, thank you.
I have one other announcement in case people overlooked it. Tonight at 5 o'clock is the trustee library and book club training session. Yeah,
Right.
Book club.
And it's on the open meetings law. That should be interesting.
What's the topic this time?
Open
Public meeting.
Oh, public meetings. Okay, yeah. And I can say, both Chris and I in the past, even when we weren't getting credit for it, we did. These are very, very good sessions. They're well worth it. And the only way that you get credit for it is that you can watch it later on, but the only way you get credit towards your 4 hours per year is if you actually do it during the first time that they air it. Because they
2 hours.
they
Isn't it 2? Yeah, 2 hours. 2 hours.
or 2 hours, right? I was just doubling it because most of these are only an hour and a half, so you really have to do 2 of them or more over the course of the year to meet your requirement.
But there are great topics on there.
Oh,
It's
terrific.
definitely worth the.
And,
2 hours.
okay, any other further comments?
One, I visited one of the libraries in North Creek. And I was just talking, I was going to visit some of the Warren County libraries because I've only really been to 2. so they were really sweet, but I said, is there anything SALS could do for you? Or do you feel comfortable communicating with SALS? And they do, but they said she's having a hard time finding programming for 12 to 18-year-old age group. She has a 15-year-old herself, she said, and she's just having a hard time coming up with like, just something.
Jack and Erica, are you listening?
I know Jack is into it, so maybe you could reach out to the North Creek Library, and I didn't write her name down, but
yes, I think they're an MVLS library though, aren't they? Maybe.
No. They what? They're not MVLS.
Yes, they're MVLS. They're on our delivery route, but they're not one of our libraries.
Yes, they are.
That's Northville.
No, Northville.
North Creek is.
North Creek.
What's North?
Johnsburg.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, there we go. Johnsburg is us.
That's Carrie Mason.
Jack, you led me astray.
Sorry, I didn't know North Creek either. I was like, North Creek.
I said North Creek. That's my fault. It's town of Johnsburg. It's in North Creek.
Gore is.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'll reach out to Carrie because we do.
Qualifying a library for this.
I'll reach out to Carrie because we do have a workshop coming up on March 2nd for teen summer reading programming.
Excellent.
Thanks, great. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Jack. Get in touch with them and let's see what happens. Okay, any other comments? Could I have a motion to adjourn then, please? Margaret, seconded by Laura. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is adjourned, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Very nice to see everyone.
Wouldn't you?
Particularly